We're going to look first at how to use our file folder material, and it'll take about 3 file folders. These can be old used file folders, and they're going to become our raw material, our steel for our project. And the first thing we need to understand is there's going to be places in our design where there's going to be compression, other places where there's going to be tension. And just as in the case of steel, steel's pretty good under tension, not so good under compression. And I'm going to cut off this little extra tab right here and demonstrate what I mean by that, and it'll help you understand where you need to use three-dimensional structural members in your design and where you can get by with just a strip. Now, tension is when we have forces pulling against each other. I'm pulling hard each direction, and you can see that file folder material will not tear. However, compression, that's when you've got end-to-end pushing together instead of pulling apart, and you see it buckles quite easily. Now, the way that you have to solve that problem is by making a three-dimensional structural member. I'm going to say in my design I have a situation where the requirements of the bridge are a clearance of 9.5 centimeters. So I'm going to make my posts 10 centimeters. That'll give me a margin of half a centimeter, 5 millimeters. But also I know I have to attach those. In order to attach those, I'm going to make some gluing tabs. So I'm going to make the gluing tabs an additional centimeter on each end of my post. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay this out in this way. I'm going to have a centimeter for a gluing tab, and you'll notice I'm working with a pen. A medium tip pen is maybe the best thing to use to lay these out. There's going to be my gluing tab. Then I've got 10 centimeters, so from 1 plus 10 is 11. There's going to be the main part of my post. And then I'm going to go on up to 12 and put a mark. And that's going to be my gluing tab for the other end. So I've got a gluing tab, and my 10 centimeter post. Now I'm going to need several of these. In fact, in my design I've got 5 of these for each truss. So I'm going to come down to the other end. I'm going to mark off again my gluing tab, 1 centimeter. Come up to 11, there's the 10 for the actual height of the post, and then another mark at 12. So I've got a gluing tab area, post area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark these off, get my points lined up, and mark that. Get that lined up. Mark that. I've just marked off my gluing tab area. Then I'm going to come down here and mark off that gluing tab area. So I've got these marked. Now, about how much can I fold? I can fold about a centimeter, maybe 8 millimeters. And this is going to determine what's going to be my, I'm going to remark this mark here. I was just a tad off, and I want to be exactly on. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make my post 10 by 10. And so that's going to be 4 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter marks, starting out here at the end. There's those, but now to close it I'm going to have a gluing tab. So that's the side of the post, side of the post, side of the post, side of the post. That's going to give me a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter post, but I need a gluing tab to close this. And I'm going to be a little bit conservative here. I'm going to go with 8 millimeters for a gluing tab. that is my glue tab. Now I'm going to repeat this. Now I'm going to go 5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, 8, 8, and I've got side of a post, side of a post, side of a post, side of a post. Now I need a 8 centimeter gluing tab. That's going to bring me out to 9, 6, and this is going to be a gluing tab. And I'm going to repeat this pattern on out across here, making several marks. Now I've got to go down to my other end and do the same thing. I got to remember my pattern here. I'm going to have 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters. I've got my 4 sides to the post. I'm going to come out to 4, 8, and this is my gluing tab. Now I'm going to go 5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, 8, 8, and then I'm going to come to 9, 6, and this is going to be my gluing tab for that post. I'm going to go ahead and at this point I'm going to score these rather heavily. Now you can use the same ruler that you were using before, but I'm going to use this one. I'm going to score these rather heavily. There's that one. I'm going to go over these double because it'll help me fold them up, as you will see. And this is why I like to use a ballpoint pen with a medium tip. A pencil that's not too sharp will help you score these. One, two, three. Here's my 4th side. And then this is going to be that 8 millimeter gluing tab. Okay, now I'm starting my next post. I've got a 10 centimeter side, or 10 millimeter side. And I would repeat that on down. Now, for purposes of time, I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out, but I could repeat this all the way down. I'm just going to make 2 of these right now to show you how I'm going to fold these up and glue them. So, you'll notice I'm using safety scissors, and I'm going to use white glue. Good old Elmer's white glue. I will not eat any glue during the construction of this bridge. And put that aside. Those pieces are going to be important. Now I got to remember side of post, side of post, side of post, side of post, gluing tab. So I need to cut on this line. And now I'm going to fold these. Now, you can probably see through the back side there that I pressed hard enough. It met all the way through. And these will fold up pretty nice right now. If for some reason you're having trouble folding, use the edge of your ruler, and that'll help you fold. You can pull up, fold like that, pull up, fold like that, pull up, fold like that, and this will fold up real nice now on each one of those folding lines. You want to fold it nice and straight and sharp. And remember, that's a gluing tab. That gluing tab right there is where I'm going to put my glue. I'm going to go ahead and real quickly fold this next one too. I'm not the most dexterous person in the world, but you can see you can get these folded up pretty well. And there's my gluing tab. Now be a little careful when you're using glue, and I might cut out like a half dozen or more of these at one time if I'm doing a project, but I'm going to put down an old piece of newspaper here. I'm going to put a little bit of white glue. Doesn't have to be anything super. I'm going to put a little bit of white glue just on the gluing tab part, and I would run that on each one that I had. If I had 6 or 8 of these laid out, I'd do 6 or 8. I got 2 right now. Spread that out on your gluing tab so you got a nice spread of glue all the way down to the end. You just do that. You only have to get your finger messy one time that way. Now here's how I like to glue these up. Instead of trying to hold them in a 3-dimensional position the whole time they're drying, I'm going to lay that one over like that. And it is 3-dimensional right now. Everything checks out. I've got it nice and square. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this now and I'm going to press that down flat. I'm going to press that down flat. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to fold it up like it's 3-dimensional just to check to make sure all my folds are good. And then I'm going to press that down flat. Now you'll notice that when I do that, because I went 8 centimeters with my glue tab, or pardon me, 8 millimeters with my glue tab, I have a little bit of a blank space there where it doesn't completely overlap, and I want that. And what I'm going to do, I will take as many of these as what I have. If I've got 6 or 8, I'm going to leave them flat like that and cover them over with newsprint, old newspaper, and then use a nice heavy book on those and let the glue dry. So 20 minutes has elapsed. I'm going to take these out, and now I'm going to pop those out, and they'll pop out to nice 3-dimensional beams now. And of course they're going to be strong under compression now. I can push down pretty hard and they're not going to buckle. Now the other thing, remember we marked these off so that we would have a gluing tab. At this point I can cut and I can see the mark both inside and outside. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and cut down my corners now for my end gluing tabs. I want to cut those down the 1 centimeter that I allowed on each end. And again, I'm not the most dexterous person, but it's not too hard to do that. Now I can open these flaps out, and you see how they're opening out right there on the lines that I'd put out earlier when I marked these out. And if I want to join, like suppose I had a bottom cord, now I can put glue on these and I can fasten them onto that other structure that will look like that.